This is SportsCenter right now. I'm Doug Kazarian. It's looking more and more like one of the NBA's best players may not play again this season. A quad injury has relegated the Spurs' Kawhi Leonard to just 9 games. Greg Popovich said the Spurs are playing it safe with their franchise player.
I'll be surprised if he returns this season.
Obviously, we support Kawhi, but we can't sit around waiting for anybody. We're a team that people have stepped up. LaMarcus has stepped up. Kyle stepped up. Davis stepped up. So people are definitely trying to fill the role as best they could. But if he comes back, obviously, he's one of the best players in the league. We'll welcome him with open arms. But we have a job to do, and we have to do that with or without him.
Safe to say the Spurs have missed Leonard, who's considered one of the best two-way players in the NBA. San Antonio just 3-7 against the top 5 teams this year after going an NBA best 9-2 last year. Now back to First Take.
No Spurs, no. Kawhi Leonard elected against returning to the Spurs active roster, as you just heard, this season, despite being medically cleared, according to our Wojo Stephen A. How does this make the Spurs look?
Well, listen, like I said, it doesn't make them look good because they're in the news for the wrong reasons. But I'm going to be fair to the San Antonio Spurs. Obviously, Greg Popovich is one of, if not the best. R.C. Buford is a highly respected executive in this league, and Peter Holt is one of the great owners in the game. It's a first-class organization, and I think that people are looking for a culprit here where they very well may not be now. I think that everybody needs to put on this big boy and big girl pants and understand what goes on here. You're Kawhi Leonard. You get rid of your agent, you bring in your uncle, who basically serves as your advisor, your agent, or whatever the case may be. The manner in which the conventional, well-known agents throughout NBA history will deal with a team may, in all likelihood, be entirely different than how this man chooses to conduct himself with the team. That doesn't make him a bad guy, doesn't make him wrong, but it may be different from the level of control that they may have been able to exercise. Now, you're going to have others that will sit up there and say, well, who the hell are they to control anything? Well, they're the Spurs. They're an organization. And any kind of organization, there's a hierarchy and there's a level of power. And if you're the coach and you're the executive and you're the owner, there is some power that you want the ability to exercise. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you a bad organization. It's just that this is your preference, doing things your way. Kawhi Leonard doesn't seem, interested in doing things the way that the Spurs are accustomed to doing things. Or at least his uncle doesn't feel that way, and he defers to his uncle. So either way you slice it, that's going to be a problem for an organization that's captured 5 championships, that's sitting back and saying, excuse me, how we've done things all of these years has worked for us. And by the way, you don't hear too many players complaining about being with us when they're here. And so when you look at it from that perspective, we got Steven Jackson that works for us right now, does a great job on The Jump and other shows. Steven Jackson might have had some issues with Greg Popovich, but that's because Steven Jackson to this very day believes that he was better than Manu Ginobili, okay? And that's his feelings, and Steve Jackson's a champion, so it's not like we can just dismiss that. But for the most part, people who play for Popovich and the Spurs usually don't have a problem. So this is foreign to them. This is new to them. And they're going to have to find a way to deal with it because they're in the news for the wrong reasons.
Max?
This makes the Spurs look like they're at a crossroads in their history, because I believe they are. Popovich is not going to go on forever. And in a salary cap league, really, more than even location, what a franchise has going for it is human capital. They're human resources. And Popovich is foremost among them in the NBA. He runs the organization. He coaches the team. He's the best at both, really, when you consider it hasn't been a free agent destination or anything like that, or a big, sexy market. Popovich ain't going to go on forever, and I don't care how well, in what kind of a shape he leaves that organization, no matter how good, they will likely suffer in his absence. Just because no matter who takes his place, what are the odds that, Michael Jordan will follow Michael Jordan, right? Popovich is the guy. What are the odds the next guy is going to be as great as him? I don't care how good the organizational structure is that he leaves in place. And so he's really going to have to figure this one out, because it looks as though the relationship is at a critical point. I don't know if it's beyond repair or not. If it is, they need to figure out how they're going to trade him. If they do, they need to figure out to whom, because as I said earlier, If you want to trade him to a place he's not going to want to go, you're not going to get a huge return because he's unlikely to sign an extension. So who's going to give you a haul for 1 year of Kawhi? You're going to have to trade him to a place you may not want to send him to. Don't forget, a healthy Kawhi, at least in my opinion, second best player in the league next to LeBron James, and he's still in his mid-20s. So if you think it's not really the injury, it's something else, it's a relationship thing, then if you fix that, Kawhi turns any team really into a powerhouse, puts many teams over the top. Popovich's going to have to figure this out. Can he repair the relationship and keep Kawhi? Or is he going to have to move him, and then to whom, and for what? They are at a critical juncture in their history, the San Antonio Spurs, right now.
Well, there's absolutely zero reason whatsoever to doubt Greg Popovich. Max, you talk about there is no Popovich after Popovich. There is no Michael Jordan after Michael Jordan. It's absolutely stunning what Greg Popovich has done without his best players. You take away Kawhi Leonard, he's won over 60% of his game. You take away Tim Duncan, same thing. David Robinson, same thing. Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, same thing. Without these guys, Greg Popovich still wins over 60% of his games. And look, this doesn't come easily to me. I'm a Dallas Mavericks fan. And in the mid-2000s, there was some kind of intrastate rivalry between the Spurs and the Mavericks. There was some heated nature to that relationship. But the Spurs deserve, to the question we're being asked here, how do we view the Spurs, every single benefit of the doubt in this entire equation. Stephen, now you say, there may in the end be no one that's culpable, but there's tension here. That's what's obvious. Sure. The Kawhi Leonard camp and the San Antonio Spurs camp are not on the same page. And set aside what the Spurs have done. You talk about all their championships, all the seasons with 50-plus wins, what I just pointed about Greg Popovich, in my estimation, being the greatest basketball coach of all time. Set all that aside. Tony Parker had, we're not going to call it the same injury, but worse, right? He ruptured his quad. Now, tendinopathy can run for a long time and nag and bother you, but Parker came back from this injury in 7 months with the help of the San Antonio Spurs inside that organization. So here's Kawhi Leonard now saying, or implying, and it looks to appear that he doesn't believe the way the organization is helping him along in this injury process is the right way. So who gets the benefit of that? The gold standard organization who's dealt with a similar situation. I just want to clarify. I understand all injuries are different. Sure. I truly do. Sure. But they've been here. They've been in a similar situation. Right. They get the benefit of the doubt.
Let me respond to that. I agree with you. But in the interest of fairness to all sides, we are talking about Kawhi Leonard here. And I'm not talking about just a great player. I'm talking about a guy who is as quiet and as unassuming, who epitomizes grabbing your lunch pail and just go to work every day better than almost anybody we could find. I mean, you look at the greatness of a LeBron James, you look at the greatness of Kevin Durant and stuff. They've made news for things that happened off the court as well as things that have happened on the court in terms of their willingness to talk and articulate their position on certain issues and what have you. Steph Curry to a lesser degree, Chris Paul to a lesser degree, Melo, Russell Westbrook, and others to a lesser degree. When you talk about a guy who gives you the impression that he doesn't give a damn about anything other than just going to work, doing his job, and going home, it's Kawhi Leonard. So if that's the reality, what I'm saying is we don't get to just dismiss and lump the benefit of the doubt in favor of the San Antonio Spurs in this particular situation because we're talking about a guy like Kawhi Leonard. If it was somebody who was more outspoken, who was looking for headlines, who was the type of person that was a bit vociferous or loquacious, whatever the case may be, that would be different. That's not Kawhi Leonard, and that's what raises my eyebrow here. This is going to make news. It's going to make news for all the wrong reasons. What in Kawhi Leonard's career has ever indicated he ever would think about doing something like that? It's also, in any capacity. That's where this gets interesting.
Will, it's also not an issue to me of who gets the benefit of the doubt because we're on the same page. Of course the Spurs get the benefit of the doubt. It's an issue of responsibility. Whether or not you're the cause of a situation in your life, as an adult, what you come to realize is when people say you're responsible for everything that happens to you, doesn't mean you caused it. It means those are now your problems. No one else can be responsible for it. You are going to be. So is it the Spurs' fault that this is happening? No, I agree with you. You give them the benefit and Popovich the benefit of the doubt. but they are the ones who are it's going to have an impact on them. And so now it's Popovich's responsibility to make the best of this. I don't think people understand what a uniquely great player Kawhi is, because he did not come into the league with the fanfare of a Kevin Durant, let alone a LeBron James. But he has turned himself into that kind of player. And the loss of him, there's really no way to replace him. You have to kind of change your whole team. Popovich is going to have to deal with this. Make it better or get maximum value for Kawhi Leonard. He's going to have to do it soon.
2019, he's available. You will be back with us in just a moment.
You bet. Yep.
Great stuff. Coming up, Mark Cuban takes the blame for a major Mavericks controversy. Will Kane will be with us for that conversation. We'll also react to Rick Pitino's comments on the Louisville sanctions. Wait till you hear what he had to say. That's coming up next on First Take.
Right now.
I told everyone before the season started.